Hey guys, welcome back to another build video. So on my channel, my most popular video by far was a chameleon build that I showed back early in season 2, and it was a slight spin on the way I used to play with the chameleon for years. And that spin relied on modifiers, so I've gotten a lot of questions asking if that build is still viable without modifiers. And if you want the short answer, it's yes, it's still viable, but with a few minor tweaks since those modifiers are no longer available. So there's your answer, but if you want to see what the minor tweaks are and see how viable it is with modifiers off, then let's take a look. So this used to be my setup. I used this for years before modifiers were even a thing. So all this gear is the same as in the other video, and since this is also just a straightforward striker setup, I'll just show you my gear really quick. So for the striker stuff, the mask, weapon damage, crit damage, gloves, weapon damage, crit damage, knee pads, weapon damage, crit chance, holster, weapon damage, crit damage, Memento, crit damage mod, chest, Fenris, weapon damage, crit chance, crit damage mod, and intimidate. Then for the chameleon, I'll go over this because there's a lot of new and returning players, and based on comments from my previous video, there's a lot of people that don't know this very important feature of the chameleon. And even a lot of people who have played the game for a while didn't know this. So for the chameleon, I have put 20 expertise in this since my last video, and this is my only one, so this is what I'm going to be using. So this has assault rifle damage, health damage, and mine has damage to targets out of cover. And this has the talent Adaptive Instincts. And this top part is pretty straightforward. So landing 30 headshots grants crit chance and crit damage. Landing 65 body shots grants 90% weapon damage. And landing 20 leg shots grants 150% reload speed. And these buffs last for 45 seconds. So if you've never used the chameleon before, this is how you tell if you have stacks. So if I ADS, you can see these hexagons next to the gun. There's 3 of them. So the top one is your headshots. When you get 30 headshots, it will turn from orange to white. The middle one is body shots. When you get 65 body shots, it will turn from orange to white. Then the bottom one will be your leg shots. When it's white, that means you have the buff. And you can see the white is starting to deplete, and that is your 45-second timer. When the white goes away, you'll have to rebuild your stacks again. Now if we look at the last part, this is the part that isn't super straightforward. So it says buffs refresh when out of combat. So what does that actually mean? It means that when you have your buffs, you get a 45-second timer before your buffs drop off and you have to rebuild stacks again. But if you go out of combat, the 45-second timer on the buff will reset, giving you the full buff again without having to rebuild stacks. So if that sounded a little confusing, here's an example of what I mean. So here I am in the American History Museum mission, and I've cleared out this entire room except for this last guy. And you can see right here, I have roughly 20 seconds left on my timer before the buff runs out. So now watch what happens when I kill him and go out of combat. So right there, the buff timer just reset. So now I still have all my buffs with a new 45-second timer. And the new 45-second timer won't start again until I go back into combat. So I could stand here all day and these buffs won't go away. So I'll go into the next room, and then when I go back into combat, the 45-second timer will start again. So we'll shoot these guys. Clear this room really quick. You can see the buff timer is going down. See, one more guy. Cleared this room, went out of combat, and it reset again. So this gun is super good for speeding through missions because you're generally running from room to room and having short bursts of combat. Now for the few tweaks. So in the build using the Season 2 modifiers, there was a way to make yourself invincible with the drone when you were in overdrive. But without those modifiers, that no longer works, so this is what I used to run. So I go with the Reviver Hive because I run all red on my gear. This just gives me a second chance if I get dropped. This is nice because the build does require you to play more aggressively. Then for the second skill, I use the Crusader Shield, and the Crusader Shield is just the way I like to play. If you want to use something else, then go ahead. So the shield is going to be tier 2 because of the Memento, and at tier 2 it's going to be pretty light. You're not going to be able to block that much damage with this, but for me, it doesn't need to take that much damage, because my philosophy when it comes to builds just in general is that you can't take damage if the enemies are already dead. So all this needs to do for me is block the few shots the enemy gets off before they die. So the last tweak is the Specialization. Before I was using Technician because I wanted this skill tier, but with this I'm just going with Gunner, mainly for the armor on kill. And then I have Assault Rifles selected here. Now, how viable is it compared to the old Overdrive modifiers? So on the left is the gameplay from the previous video, and on the right is the build in this video with modifiers off. And the audio you're hearing is from the modifiers off video, so the one on the right. So when I do these missions, I generally only do one run unless I completely mess up. So I'm assuming the old one with modifiers was one run, but the modifiers off run was first run. So it wasn't the best one. I got foamed a few times, I dropped my Chameleon buff once, but all in all, the difference in completion time was that the modifiers off was about 24 seconds slower. And a lot of that could be attributed to just variation in spawns and the fact that Overdrive made you run faster. So to make a full circle back, yes, this build is still perfectly viable without modifiers. So I'm going to let these missions play out side by side and show the exact time difference in real time at the end. And if you stuck around this long, I appreciate it a lot. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.
Contact.
Serious trauma detected.
This one's mine!
All clear. I repeat, the compound is all clear.
No, that can't be all of them. Check the interior while I get Henry's people to maintain the perimeter.
Better go see.
Stop.
Right there. Right phone ready.
Damn it. The truce has turned the memorial into a base. There's an area beneath you with increased security. Isaac can't access data on this location. Stay alert. Never know what you're walking into. according to the schematics Isaac pulled upstairs. We can lock that tunnel door from their control center. That should keep them from being able to transport those mortars loaded with PC-52. That should keep them from getting more of those mortars.
You think closing the tunnel was smart? Fuck you! You locked yourself in with
Good work. Go on and head back up. The team from the campus has taken position inside the memorial.
If you hadn't stopped them, I know they would have used those weapons on us, and we would have ended up like Castle. I can't tell you how relieved I am to have you on our side. Thank you.
Today, we dealt a great blow to the True Sons infrastructure. We confiscated a massive cache of chemical weapons and eliminated a stronghold near the campus. You should be proud. You saved a lot of lives today.